tomorrow is a day which has long been in the diary of free speech supporters because the Hate Crime and Public Order Bill Scotland is coming into effect north of the border, and the proposed new law, well, the actual new law, is going to be making stirring up hatred against certain groups a criminal offence, even if the person making the remarks hadn't intended to do so or made them in private. And critics are saying that the bill could lead to a slew of police investigations. But First Minister Humza Yousaf says people will be punished if they make vexatious complaints. So we're going to discuss this new bill in a series of interviews, and we're going to start by discussing how the new laws could affect religious freedom. And for that reason, I have here Lois McLatchie Miller. Welcome to the show. Lois, welcome back to the show. Obviously, you've been in the show a few times, and obviously we've talked about this before, but it's getting very pressing now with the new hate crime law. We knew it was coming, but what do you make of Humza Yousaf now coming out and say, look, people are going to make complaints, but we will punish them if the complaints are vexatious?
Well, firstly, happy April Fool's Day from the Scottish Government to us all. And it kind of reinforces the point about the clarity of the language. How will you now define when someone's being vexatious with their complaints? The theme throughout hate speech laws has been that with a lack of clarity, the government get to decide what speech is legal and what speech isn't, and now which complaints are legal and which complaints aren't, confusingly. And that's the problem with these laws. We're not clear what we can say and what we can't, and it'll have a chilling effect on free speech.
Well, aren't they also saying that anyone can complain anonymously? So therefore, how will they even possibly investigate the nature of the complainant? Also, they're not referring to these people as complainants, they're calling them victims, which presupposes that there is something to investigate in the first place. All of this stuff just feels as though they are borrowing from some kind of totalitarian playbook.
Right. Well, hate can often be in the eye of the beholder. And I think you wrote about this on your own Substack, Andrew, that hate is a condition of the human heart. And no matter what legislation Humza Yousaf or Justin Trudeau or any of these guys puts through, they will never actually be able to stop the human heart emotion of hate.
Well, I'm not saying I support hate. I don't like it, but it's the reality. It's part of the human condition. You know, great playwrights and novelists have written about this for centuries. It's not as though you can just eradicate it with a few laws.
Indeed, and censorship has never been able to effectively control bad speech.
No.
Throughout history, we've seen this fail time and time again. But what this will do is, instead of only targeting the speech that somebody doesn't like, it's going to be whatever speech the Scottish Government deems on that day to be considered hateful. That makes it very difficult for anyone who has a belief or a view that falls outside the mainstream, falls outside the dominant religion, if you like, of the day. You know, it's interesting, I think it was 1697 that the last man in Scotland was condemned for blasphemy.
Wow.
And tomorrow we're bringing in another blasphemy law, but it's just reversed. You know, it was always wrong that Christianity had this enforcement that you could be punished for questioning the Bible. That should never have happened. Everybody should have been free to challenge the Bible and the church and what we believe. But now the reverse has happened, and we have the dominant beliefs of the day, the dominant religion with its own teaching and its own doctrine and its own mantras.
Yes.
If you question that now, then you may be punished. And this sentencing is pretty severe in this bill. It could go up to 7 years in prison.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, isn't the point that, you know, free speech is really the defence of all religious freedoms, anyone's right to believe? And if you have a dominant religion, as I do think this movement it does feel religious to me. And also, what about the future? I mean, if they have this on the statute books, who's to say that a government in 10, 20, 30 years' time doesn't decide that criticism of their policies is a hate act? Is that not possible?
Very possible. It's all about the framing, it's all about the language, and we've seen this time and time again. And I think this word hate has been used as a framing for whatever is, you know, considered to be disliked, and often today that's Christianity, unfortunately. You know, it's been a traditional belief in this country for centuries, and I think that gives people a bit of a soft pass on being able to criticise and go against it, and we should all be able to criticise any religion, but by deeming it hateful, by saying that somebody's beliefs or views are hateful and there should be criminalised, you're instantly telling the population that these people are a bad group.
Yes.
But actually, Christianity is a religion that recognises the hatred in the world, recognises injustice and hardships that we all face. And it actually, I mean, it's Easter Sunday today. We're celebrating the fact that that was put on Jesus Christ, as we believe, and that he dealt with that, and that we can live in, you know, peace and have that joy and hope because of Christianity. So it's turned something that is meant to be a faith of love and hope, and it's deemed it and branded it in a way that is misunderstood and misrepresented.
Did you expect, I mean, you're from Scotland, this is your country. Do you feel a bit, I mean, it's odd, isn't it, that it seems to have taken root in Scotland and in Ireland as well, and, you know, how do you feel about that that on a sort of patriotic level.
Oh, it's very sad. I mean, we were the home of the Great Scottish Enlightenment. When you think of Scotland, you think of the Fringe Festival and great comedy, and great leaders of the Christian faith as well have arisen from Scotland and Ireland for many years. But now it seems that just because something is considered old or considered outdated by those who are in power,
yes,
now you can't believe that. Now you can't speak about that, even
yes,
if it's extremely important conversations to have.
And some people do find the Bible offensive, the Quran offensive. There are people who will say this is hate speech.
Sure. In fact, a quarter of 18 to 34-year-olds have said they would ban a religious text such as the Bible if it was found to have hate speech in it. And I think that really shows a religious... I know, right? I think that really shows a religious illiteracy of our generation, of our institutions, by saying, oh, whatever this faith is, I presume that it's hateful and therefore should be banned. And it hasn't engaged with the reality of those conversations because we're being censored,
Fascinating and chilling stuff. Lois McLatchie-Miller, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much. Thank you.